Heroes are in short supply. So, we come where heroes gather. Out in the larger world, we're disappointed. But here, men are large enough to fill our dreams of what men might be. Here are the Paul Bunyans of the motor age. Richard Petty wears a cap that cools his head with chilled water, so we know it's hot in those fierce automobiles. His helmet tells us it's dangerous. Buddy Baker sits behind a mesh protector. A violent crash could throw him out of the car, and broken glass is a hazard. Cale Yarborough wears a jet pilot's radio. 600 horsepower is deafening, but a driver must contact his pit crew. Benny Parsons drinks from a cold jug of water, peering at the world through special goggles. It's tough to keep alert, see what must be seen. Darrell Waltrip uses everything. Cool hat, radio, roll bars, hard hat, and youthful bravery. David Pearson has experience. On this track, that's as important as equipment. He's run 31 races here. 40 cars are ready. The mechanics and helpers drift away to take their places in the pits. And suddenly, the drivers are alone. Each man alone with the sound of his heartbeat. The cars roll away. They begin a slow pace lap that ends with a high-speed running start. It's the last moment before the Southern 500. An enormous crowd watches the end of the pace lap. These are today's Paul Bunyans and John Henrys, heroes almost larger than life, about to do things the rest of us can only dream of. Darrell Waltrip, who won the inside front row position with the fastest pre-race speed, starts next to Benny Parsons. Two Chevrolets lead the pack. The pace car moves out of the way as 25,000 horses under the hoods of 40 automobiles get ready to run. The green flies, and the race is on. Waltrip keeps his foot down through turn one and outbraves Benny Parsons for the lead. Buddy Baker holds third, Cale Yarborough fourth, Dave Pearson fifth, Richard Petty sixth as they reach the backstretch. Many fans stayed home as rain-filled clouds darkened the sky. Still, there's a near-record crowd of 70,000. This track at Darlington, South Carolina is a miracle. Although it's 100 miles from any major city, still, it's a magnet for race fans from 30 states and the District of Columbia. Waltrip sets a blistering pace for the first lap, 151 miles an hour. 9 cars run nose to tail, a fast freight connected by skill, daring, and the respect one driver has for another. On the backstretch, Benny Parsons challenges Waltrip for the lead, then has second thoughts. Baker sits tight in third. Yarborough in fourth lets a little daylight show in front of his car. Pearson and Petty do the same. It's not time to prove how brave you are, yet. When this track was built, the bravest stock car veterans ran 90 miles an hour. Today, the rookies are running 140. At speed, this track is 1.5 lanes wide. You don't try to pass unless there's a clean way to do it. So they run flat out, wondering if it's going to rain, if their car will hold together, if they can pass or keep from being passed. Here comes Benny Parsons. Parsons nails his foot down and takes the lead. Most of the drivers will say, I'd rather run anywhere else, but I'd rather win Darlington. A victory here makes you a race driver's race driver. Benny Parsons keeps pouring on the power as he begins to lap slower cars. Here comes Waltrip. Parsons drops to second as Waltrip finds an opening on the front straightaway. Now the tough going gets tougher as slower cars are forced down out of the high groove near the wall to give the faster cars running room. There's an invisible groove around the track that the top drivers have found to be the fastest way around. At certain points, that groove is just wide enough for one car. You've got to make your move at just the right time. Settle down to watch experts like Waltrip drive through traffic, make 4 left turns every 33 seconds, racing at 3 times highway speed. 2 cars tangle in turn 1. Immediately, the yellow flag warns other drivers to slow down, and the caution lights around the track flash their urgent message. Number 49, driven by G.C. Spencer, keeps rolling. This is Spencer's last Southern 500 before retiring. Number 92, with Skip Manning at the wheel, comes down out of the high-speed groove and out of danger. Suddenly, the fans know what it's like out there. In a word, dangerous. To prove it, take a ride with Cale Yarborough during a practice run a few days ago. Still flies as the track is cleared after the accident. The pits are furiously busy as drivers refuel, pull down new tires, and scramble back to the track. There's Darrell Waltrip's machine, ready to race. Pearson's right behind Waltrip. The front runners want to be on the track before the green flag waves. The sooner you move out, the fewer cars you'll have to pass. There's a crash on pit road. Benny Parsons swerved into Dick Brooks. Brooks' car misses the wall by inches. He's heading for the infield fence and the spectators. Brooks hits head on, but stops short of the infield crowd. Parsons, one of the early leaders, is heading back to the pits and into the area behind the pit wall used for repairing damaged cars. He may be out of the race. Parsons' car is still running. Perhaps he felt safer maneuvering here than making a turn on the track. Dick Brooks is out of his car, safe but angry. When Parsons' car hit, the brakes went out, and Brooks couldn't control the car. The rain that threatened all day begins to fall in the 4th turn. The yellow flag gives way to red. The race is stopped. The cars are parked in the front stretch, and no work can be done until the race is resumed. The leader, Donnie Allison, and the other drivers wait it out. An hour and a half later, the rain has stopped and the track is dry. 4,000-pound automobiles with slick racing tires can't run on wet pavement. After a few slow warm-up laps, they come off the 4th turn looking for the green flag like greyhounds looking for the rabbit. Positions have been reshuffled as some of the drivers pitted during the warm-up laps. In first place is Darrell Waltrip. Right behind him, Cale Yarborough. Richard Petty's car, now driven by relief driver Dave Marcus, is a lap down, although he seems to be with the leaders. In 3rd place, Dave Pearson. Donnie Allison is 4th after a pit stop. It's a brand new race with 230 miles to go. Waltrip opens up a gaping lead. Cale Yarborough, three-time winner of the Southern 500, begins to move in on Darrell Waltrip. Average speed, because of the rain, is nowhere near a record. But right now, these drivers are turning laps at better than 150 miles an hour. Yarborough considers Darlington his home track. He was born and raised 10 miles away. A poor farm boy is now a millionaire because of racing. He's earned $300,000 this season alone. But equally important, he's a folk hero in Timmonsville, South Carolina. Yarborough takes a run at Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip won't give way. He's got the high groove near the fence, and Yarborough has to pull his way through to take the lead. Those two drivers swap paint at 150 miles an hour while turning corners. They're flying down the backstretch. Waltrip looking for a place to pass. The first and second turns at Darlington are different than turns 3 and 4. A driver has to make a choice when setting up his car where he wants it to handle best and makes his passing moves at that spot. Waltrip jams his foot to the firewall and takes the lead again. Yarborough gets up against the wall. His heart must have jumped as his car grated against the concrete. Yarborough's had every kind of experience on this track. He's bent more metal than a steel mill, but he's also won 3 races here and more than $110,000 in prizes at this track alone. He's NASCAR's national champion, and that says it all. Slower cars move down on the track, giving the front runners all the racing room they need. It's a fast freight coming through, and the locals clear the track. There's a slow car in the high groove. Waltrip's caught behind him. Waltrip taps number 40, and there's trouble. 3 cars spin out of control. There goes Yarborough like a skater on ice. Yarborough's down, out of the high groove, out of the way of traffic. Waltrip is off the track, in the pits along the backstretch. Darlington is unique. It has pits on both sides of the track. Janet Guthrie, the only woman driver in this race, also spun to avoid the accident. Number 40 with D.K. Ulrich driving limps around wondering what happened to him. A few others were nicked going through the wildly spinning traffic. There's number 91 with Terry Bivens driving. There are no reports of injury. Cale Yarborough, game as ever, throws it in gear and heads for the pits. If it'll run, Yarborough will be racing. Bet on it. Number 11 has motored around to his pit on the front stretch, and there's some quick body work to be done for a while-you-wait customer named Cale Yarborough. The car is refueled, the tires are new, the sheet metal is cut away, and the chassis underneath is not damaged. Yarborough takes his mechanic's word that it's safe to run, and he's going back to the race. That's what bravery is all about. These are the tires off Darrell Waltrip's car. The inner liners, used by all NASCAR drivers, may have kept Waltrip from losing control entirely. Waltrip sits helplessly behind the wall as the race goes on, without him. No use crying over spilled milk. But he'll remember one lap for a long time. Dave Pearson is the leader, with Donnie Allison in car number 1 and Buddy Baker in Ford 15 dogging his heels. They're cutting through traffic like a hot knife through butter. It's getting to be showdown time at Darlington. Next to Richard Petty, Dave Pearson is NASCAR's most successful Grand National driver. He has 98 victories behind him, including 7 on this track. He's the defending champion of the Southern 500, a winner a year ago. Donnie Allison is one of racing's best drivers, but often plagued with hard luck. He's led a lot of races, but can't seem to finish enough of them without something going wrong. There's trouble right behind the leaders. 2 cars head for the wall. Look out! Ralph Jones, a rookie driver, bashes the wall and comes to a stop in the middle of the track, right in the path of other fast cars. The crowd is stunned, but not the men in the pits or in the other cars. The drivers swerve and avoid Jones' burning wreck, and at the first chance, pit crews go over the wall, risking their own lives to pull Jones from the crippled machine. The race drivers have slowed down, but they're still traveling almost 100 miles an hour. A small amount of fuel mixed with oil is burning, but quickly brought under control. There's danger that the fuel tank located in the trunk might explode. Firefighters snuff out the flame. The men on the scene are members of various pit crews. This is what they mean when they talk about the racing fraternity. Lenny Pond is out of his car. He was involved in that crash with Jones. Pond is okay and walking around. Jones is pulled from the car, groggy, shaken, but all right. The roll bars and NASCAR's high safety standards kept him alive after bashing the wall harder than anyone in Darlington history. It's a tough way for a rookie to get into the record books. He's being rushed to an emergency field hospital in the pit area. Jones hit the wall like a cannon shell, broke through 5 inches of concrete, and buckled a steel guardrail. NASCAR's Bill France Jr. supervises the cleanup. Here's another look at that near tragedy in slow motion. On a highway, it would have been disaster. Among race drivers, it's all in a day's work. That's what it's like out there. Someday soon, Jones will be laughing about this, and again, ready to race. When the track is cleared, Donnie Allison has the lead in car number 1, a fast Chevrolet. Right behind him is Darrell Waltrip, but he's 5 laps down because of his accident. Behind Waltrip, Dave Pearson's Mercury. Waltrip, sadder but wiser, moves out of Pearson's way. It's a 2-car race now, with Buddy Baker a distant third. Both drivers must make one more pit stop before the race is over. Rules limit gas tank capacity to no more than 22 gallons. At racing speed, they run less than 5 miles on a gallon. Pearson seems happy to let Donnie Allison set the pace, but he's never out of Allison's rearview mirror. Allison keeps his foot down, and Pearson knows that a man under pressure may push his car beyond the breaking point. Besides, Pearson has an ace up his sleeve. His pit crew, the Wood brothers, are among the smartest and fastest in stock car racing. These cars are traveling 220 feet every second. A lot of races are decided by how many seconds are spent in the pits. Donnie Allison moves up to pass Cale Yarborough and D.K. Ulrich, both crippled in an early crash. Janet Guthrie in number 64 is also back in the race, in 16th position. Pearson hangs on to Allison's 150-mile-an-hour coattail. Here's Allison slowing down carefully. If he overshoots his pits, he'll have to take another lap and probably lose his one chance to win. The crew jumps on the car. No time for fresh tires, just a can of gas and a clean windshield. Even that's too long. With half a can in his tank, Donnie starts to roll. About the last thing Donnie wants is an extra gallon of fuel and second place. Allison guns out of the pits. He was standing still exactly 6.5 seconds. Allison is almost up to speed. And here comes Pearson in first place. He's got a lead of 3/4 of a lap, about 22 seconds, but he's already been signaled by radio to come in for gas. Donnie Allison has been unbeatable on the track. Now, it's up to the Wood brothers to beat him in the pits. Whatever they do has to be done in less than 6 seconds. NASCAR allows only gravity-feed refueling. It takes about 6 seconds to pour 11 gallons from a handheld tank. Here comes Pearson, slowing down as easy as you please, as if $5,000, the difference between first and second place money, isn't hanging on this stop. Here he comes. And there he goes. Dave Pearson stands still only 3 seconds. He took on less than half a can of gas. Pearson rolls into the first turn in front of Donnie Allison. Here comes Allison, running flat out. Pearson's not yet up to racing speed. Pearson's got his foot to the firewall, holding first place. Pearson has a 4-second lead on Allison, just about the difference between the 2 pit stops. Pearson, the leader, is up to racing speed. He runs up behind Petty's car, still being driven by Dave Marcus. Marcus, a lap down, moves over to give Pearson the right-of-way, but Pearson's cautious. He's got a 4-second lead and wants to save both fuel and the car. They're overtaking slower cars, and this could be tricky. Marcus and Pearson both stand on the brakes to avoid Janet Guthrie and Frank Warren. They almost tangled at the exact point Waltrip, Yarborough, and Ulrich came together. It would be heartbreaking for Pearson to hang it on the wall after 490 perfect miles. 3 laps to go. Again, Marcus gives way, and this time Pearson goes by, putting another car between himself and Donnie Allison, who doesn't seem to be able to catch Pearson's flying Mercury. Pearson's pit crew sits tight. They think there's enough gas in that car to run 2.5 more laps, but you never know until that checkered flag waves. Allison just doesn't seem to have the power to make a fight of it. 2 laps to go, and Pearson holding a commanding lead. The front runners have been turning these closing laps at better than 151 miles an hour. No driver has won more races at Darlington than David Pearson. He's taken home more than $213,000 from this track in 31 starts. Buddy Baker has been smooth and steady in 3rd place. Cale Yarborough is still in the race, although he's in 5th position, 5 laps down. Here comes Pearson onto the front stretch to meet the white flag that means 1 more lap. He's got 4 left turns to go after making more than 1,400 left turns this afternoon. Pearson heads up the backstretch with a lead of 3.3 seconds over Donnie Allison. The pit stop was the difference. Pearson's going to win. Even if his engine quit, he'd coast to the finish line. On the front stretch, the white flag waves for Buddy Baker in 3rd spot, and then the checker for David Pearson, his 2nd victory in a row in the Southern 500. The Wood Brothers crew gambled, and the gamble paid off. Although there are no statistics, it's likely there's never been a shorter pit stop than 3.5 seconds. It proved to be just long enough. Pearson wheels to victory lane for picture-taking and celebration with his crew. He's called the Gray Fox, a 42-year-old father of 3. He's done what the rest of us can only dream of. He is the stuff of which legends are made. Pearson is greeted by Miss Southern 500 and Barney Wallace, president of the Darlington Raceway. There's something about an auto race that reminds all of us of simpler times, when good guys and bad guys were clearly labeled, and winners were the best guys of all. Dave Pearson shines with the magic that comes with victory. Tomorrow, it'll be time to think of next week's race, or better yet, next year's race. The Southern 500 at Darlington.